Alright, welcome back to the channel. Warhammer Man back in the studio. Today we're taking a look at another completed commission. This one is a terrain set. It's actually a two-part set. The initial set is the Sector Imperialis style terrain, which is like the building ruins and everything that you see here. This is done in a completely modular way. The idea being that you can mix and match it around however you like and set it up in unlimited configurations, so you can keep your board fresh, change it up in between games or however you like. There's obviously some key ways that it can go together, but the idea is to leave it as modular as possible. And then also when it comes to storage and transportation, breaks down extremely small. So this is everything broken down into the individual pieces, and then we'll go through and just do a couple of sort of like setups for it. This is on a 22 by 30 inch kill team size board. Um, the idea being that if you have multiple of these sets, you can put them together into a larger board, or if you're just playing on like a kill team size board or combat patrol, like we see here, that it's set up with plenty of terrain. You can play with just your troops like on kill team. You could play with vehicles or walkers, etc., on a traditional combat patrols type game, or anything in between. So depending on which set you're looking at, I think overall the majority of the sets come just a little light on terrain. The original Kill Team set had a nice amount of terrain in it, about what we're seeing here. And then obviously the new Kill Team set that's coming out with the Orc style terrain has pretty similar to what we see here. But the goal being that we have two larger size buildings, a bunch of like the medium sized terrain pieces, and then some scatter terrain as well. So you want your board to be full enough that it's fair to everyone, but not so crazy that there's complete areas where people can hide out, or an unfair advantage for like one team or the other, or one army or the other. So let's go through and we'll just do a couple of configurations on this, kind of set it up, move it around a little bit, and I can demonstrate a couple of just basic setups for this, and then we'll take a look at our other set today as well. If you're new to the channel or you're interested in stuff like this in the future, how to do it, reactions, reviews, everything from rules, new model releases, etc. for Warhammer 40,000, Kill Team, War Cry, or Age of Sigmar, anything in between, pretty much all Games Workshop all the time. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel there. We're just about at 1,000 subscribers and planning on doing something special once we release it, reach it. Please share with your friends and anyone that might be interested in this as well, including like social media groups. So, but here we see basically this is like a zenithal lighting, like kind of sprayed set, so that when you look at the pieces, they're brighter towards the tops and a little bit darker towards the bottoms. Also kind of like simulates the effects of like, the dirt getting up on the terrain. But the overall goal is to keep everything a little bit lighter towards the tops, a little darker towards the bottoms. Bunch of like metallic accents, some like skeleton horde, kind of like skull accents as well, and then nice little wash. So this has primarily been done with the accent colors using balthazar gold, leadbelcher, and then we use nuln oil for the leadbelcher, and agrax earthshade for the balthazar gold, and then obviously our various sprays that we do the zenithal lighting with. And then finally, you'll see some of that skeleton horde on there over a nice coat of white to do like the actual skulls. And it doesn't show up as well just how they're sitting now, but you'll see as we put like the walkway pieces or like the platform pieces on top, they actually have like a blue undercoat, so there's a little bit different of a shade to them, so they do kind of stand out a little bit. So I'm going to kind of just move this around, set it up into a couple of configurations, and then we'll pick back up there. So all right, so just a quick note, I did want to just mention one of the key features that we've left with this set is you'll see the two larger pieces have been left together flush, how you would actually like glue these if you were going to turn them into one building. So the goal here is that you can actually combine the two together, and then put on our top pieces and turn them into just a single building if you wanted to do that. Or obviously you have the ability to use them as two separate buildings as well. So that is like one of the key features and something that we specifically do with this set. And then you'll notice that the way these are set up and assembled, that they actually almost like snap into place, so that once you do put them together, they are nice and stable. So that's like one of the key things with this set specifically that we make sure to do. All right, so here we have sort of a basic setup right here. This one obviously uses one larger building and then a bunch of like smaller stuff. So it's a little less fair, obviously, because you have the one big building. But if you were playing like a narrative game where one side was trying to defend an objective or a building, and then the other side was like the attacker, this would be something more like suited for that. But again, it just kind of demonstrates how the ability to use the two larger sets of ruins to make one big building versus having like a bunch of just smaller, more equally placed stuff. But we'll show off some of those more equally placed setups next. All right, and then here we got the two main buildings separated into two more equally placed buildings. Now this one is like symmetrical in the sense that you have basically equal amount of terrain on either side. The big buildings kind of facing each other, and then some of the small ruins allow each side to have a second floor little platform opposite each other, and then obviously like some ground ruins as well, and then quite a bit of scatter terrain in between, sort of like the no man's land, so that if somebody's trying to cross the gap in the middle, they have some cover to do so along the way, lay down a little covering fire, and move more tactically as opposed to just having like the big wide open middle part like kill zone. But that's basically like a second setup, and then maybe we'll just do one more setup here and call it at that. And here we have just one more basic setup, and now here we have basically a completely symmetrical board where you have your two large buildings opposite each other, two smaller like ruined structures opposite each other as well, and then a bunch of pretty fairly evenly placed scattered terrain throughout the middle. So again, there's unlimited configurations you can make with this set. It also breaks down to extremely small for transport and storage capacity. And then again, the coolest part about it is it does allow you unlimited configurations. And if you decided you didn't want to have a second level for more of like a beginner type game, you can easily just take the top ruins off and not use the second level floors or platforms. And then also you can see with this size board, 22 by 30, you have more than enough terrain to completely fill the board, or you can take away terrain if you want like a little bit lighter or of a setup, a little less cover to try to keep the games a little more even. If you have one more combat oriented army or one more shooting oriented army or kill team, and you got to kind of balance it out because one is a little too strong at range or one's a little too weak to get into combat or too strong in combat, etc. You can kind of balance the board accordingly. And then obviously if you're playing more of a competitive setup, you can make sure that you have like complete symmetry and fairness so that whichever side each player gets, there's no complaints or a lack of cover or fairness. But there you have a couple of the setups. Obviously, unlimited configurations, which is the goal with this. And next, we'll be showing off that a sector Mechanicus terrain style set as well. It is part of the same commission for the same person, and then combined together, obviously, the two sets can easily take care of a much larger board. Or if you just take two of these 22 by 30s and put them together, you can usually have a 44 by 60 board and step up your games of 40K. Typically, I think I want to say that you're looking at probably around like 500 or so points for the combat patrol. Like your combat patrol boxes, obviously, for a lot of the armies, would be played on a game or board like this size. Maybe a little less scatter terrain if you have some vehicles or whatever that need to be able to pass through, some tanks, etc. But if you're playing the next step up from that, maybe like 1,000 point game, you might want to take two of these boards, put them together, and essentially that's what you're set up for. And then easily you could play on, like four of these boards combined together, or more of a standard size table for a full 2,000 point game. It would just be a little bit lighter on the cover as opposed to being like denser on some of these smaller boards. But that's overall what we're going for. Obviously, you can see this is more than enough terrain to get a nice game, to have plenty of cover, but not be so overbearing that you can't place your models, etc. And then obviously the options and unlimited configurations as well. So if you have any questions or anything about how we do this setup or what paints we used, etc., I will put them down in the notes as well. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, etc. If you're interested in something like this in the future, we are a commission-based studio, and that funds all of our operations. So make sure that you check us out on eBay, or obviously you can get a hold of us on Facebook or here in the comment section. We do pretty quick work, but overall quality is priority. We do typically have decent wait time though before we get to your items, depending what it is, and the priority obviously is based on the queue and when the orders come in. We try to always get those done. But we do everything from Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Warcry, and of course Kill Team as well. Pretty much anything Games Workshop. Thank you guys for checking it out today. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions or comments as well, I'll be glad to hear those. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.